Welcome to Resonance, podcast by Quetzal y Andrade, talking about bass, effects, and life things. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just abruptly cut off that intro music. But that is a piece called Orbit off my latest album called Reset, album 14. It just came out January 1st, 2026. Pretty excited at the fact that last year on January 1st, I posted, and it sounds lame when I say I posted, but I'm not one to usually say, hey, big things coming. I'm going to do this, check out for this, big announcement, none of that. But last year, it was definitely a very honest and true, I wouldn't even call it a New Year's resolution, but I definitely wanted to start recording original music. And so I posted about it. I posted some of my gear up and said, hey, this is the dream, this is the vision, create some music, leave some vinyls for my kids. And ended up being basically an album a month that I ended up producing, creating, and enjoying, right? The process more than anything. It was definitely a fun ride, a fun experience, which I still can't stop, right? We're in January and another album has been released another year later, and album number 15 will be released February 1st. So definitely have plenty of intrinsic motivation, plenty of effects pedals and opportunity to create, right? Enough creativity that entertains me, first of all, and then that ultimately ends up reaching a lot of people, and the people that matter most, my kids, my family. It's always a joy to see I was going to say my mom, excuse me. I was thinking immediately, today was my dad's birthday. Today is January 9th, and I was thinking, mom's birthday is going to be January 19th. So that's kind of a cool little thing. My dad's is on January 9th. Mom's on January 19th. So mom is next. So very cool thing that I still have my parents around. Very blessed in that sense. Sorry for the tangent. Sorry for the detour. But it's always a joy when my wife ends up playing the music, whether it's upstairs on her Bluetooth speaker or she ends up sharing it onto the family TV screen downstairs. And that kind of affirmation, validation, that type of, how would you say, seal of approval, right? For her to do that, it's just that extra weight and affirmation for me to keep doing it, not just for her, but for my kids, right? I mentioned before that they end up dancing or humming along, and it's such a cool thing to continually see them enjoy the music. And even if it's dad, right? Maybe at some point they'll be like, you know what, Dad, you need to stop. Give it up. You're out of the game. You have no game, right? But again, until that day comes, hey, I'm going to keep enjoying this and chalking up all of this writing and recording as a win. Super excited about NAM, to see some faces, some friends that have been enjoying the music and meet them in person. Some of them are from other states in the country, and definitely excited to, talk shop, talk bass, talk about the music, and just inspirational things overall, whatever it is. So back to Reset, I played the first piece called Orbit off the Reset album, just released January 1st. And again, it has the Bit Crusher as the melody type of sound. And for me, it's just, Bit Crusher just sends me to space. So I called it Orbit for that reason. Sounds spacey, spatial, kind of, some sort of universal galactic theme. And so I called it Orbit. And even though Orbit's not deep space, let's say, it's one of those things that definitely, I guess it's that fine line between Earth and space, and how we end up feeling about going one way or another, right? How far do our dreams go? Do our dreams stay here on Earth? Do we dream, off yonder into remote, uncharted territories? May I say galaxies, right? And other planets and whatnot. So anyway, Orbit, don't want to get too deep and philosophical or metaphoric, right? But Yeah, it takes me to that place easily with the Big Crusher, and it always feels good. It always feels like a positive vibe whenever I play the Big Crusher effect. And immediately I want to title some of these pieces something space related or universe related, although I guess everything's related to the universe. Gonna stop that right there. The next piece in the album is called Origins, and again, you can kind of think about Earth and the universe and maybe how things got started or didn't. But here's just a clip of it. Excuse me. So right off the bat, it's called Origins. It has some sort of mystical feel to it, if you ask me. And such as the origins, right, of mankind, this Earth, right? We were not actually there, and so regardless of what you believe, there's this sort of feeling of uncertainty and perhaps just curiousness, right? And to be honest, right, this effect that I used as the melody is a dual pitch effect that I created in the HX1 pedal. It's the first time I record with this effect. It's the first time I record with the HX1 actually. So it's a cool effect. It's kind of synthy in some ways. Kind of gives me guitar and flute, harmonized vibes with the bass. And I was honestly just experimenting, filling out some melodies. I was curious to see how I could integrate this into a piece, into a song, and generate a melody that hopefully sounds staple enough and appropriate enough to the rest of the music. And so Origins, it's infantile stages of the HX1 experimentation or exploration, and so I thought it was very appropriate to title it as such. The next piece is called Soledad, which means isolation or loneliness, right? Being secluded, right? Soledad. Let me look at the definition of that, because I don't even know if I can efficiently do that without breaking what little technology I have here in front of me. But let me look it up real quick. Soledad in English. It says solitude. There we go. I knew there was a better word than loneliness and isolation. But yeah, solitude, soledad. I apologize for my brain not being quite ready to translate on my own, right? But luckily we got plenty of internet and resources available. So yeah, solitude, soledad, and it's bare bones, right? It sounds very skeletal. It sounds kind of somber, but I think there's something beautiful to it. We need sometimes some space, some silence, not a whole lot of chaos, right? I mean, some of us embrace chaos, right, from day to day, right? Whether we have large families, whether we have jobs that have an insane amount of tasks to be done by the hour, by the minute. But so Soledad, it felt good to play something kind of somber and not crazy filled with drum sequences and a bunch of layers. So there is only two parts to this. There's a bass part that I end up throwing some overdrive or dirt in the little riff underneath, right? A little quarter riff, which really isn't a full chord. I'm playing a root and a fifth, and just kind of letting that vibe create the tone for the rest of the piece. So I'll just play a snippet and maybe a little bit of the melody to get an idea of what the melody sounds like. Yeah, so I'm going to stop it right there and skip a little further ahead and see if we can get to the other part of the melody. Yep, and then eventually goes a little bit further, and then does a little bit of chord stuff here. Yeah, so I mean, to me, it just gives me the feels. It definitely it's not screaming for attention, or at least not in some sort of loud manner, right? I think it does evoke some sort of attention, um, some sort of ear, right? Like it's asking you to listen closely. Like what is it that I'm saying here? Obviously, through an instrument, through a melody, it might be difficult to decipher what exactly I'm trying to speak about. But I think that's the beauty about, or the beauty of instrumental music. We can use that to our advantage, right? It can cater to our feelings or whatever moods we want to pursue, right? Or dwell in. And so, Soledad, right? I feel like it's a beautiful melody that, again, if you want to feel sad and reflect on something that hurts, right? Loss, something something that is difficult to talk about, something that's difficult to listen to, because words definitely have meaning, but melodies, music, just music, no lyrics, no words. It can definitely surprise us with new ways of feeling and thinking about whatever it is that we have just experienced, or that we are perhaps looking forward to, right? Moving past or moving through, right? The process of, be it healing, be it some sort of compelling situation. Let's leave it at that. So Soledad, I don't really use overdrive or dirt, for the most part, but this is one of the few, and I really dug it. I feel like, man, I want to write more stuff like this. So we'll see. Maybe I'll do more of that in the future. The next piece is called Forests, and maybe you'll get that vibe with the drum sequence track that I created for it. Yeah, so this was a fun track to play because I ended up, developing a melody that I decided, you know what, I do want to add a harmony, throughout here and there, and I feel like it really gives it a cool sound, an appropriate sound, and not an overly done thing, at least on my behalf, right? I don't harmonize all my melodies, and so I'm like, wow, this creates a nice variation in this piece called Forests. So I'm gonna let it play a little bit longer because I think there's something else I want to get to. Yeah, chord structure changes a little here. Yeah, and then back to the main melody. I believe there is a little solo towards the end, but you get the idea. That's Forests, and track number 4 in that album, followed by the title track, Reset. And this was a cool thing because I really wanted to title this album Reset even before starting it, but as soon as I ended up playing or dabbling with this effect sequence or this signal chain, where I have a bit crusher, I have the Walrus Audio Fable granular delay pedal on, I have the auto wah on as well in my Zoom 6dB, and a reverb pedal in the Ampero, right? So I have four different pedals going on. But to me, the combination sounded cool. So I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit of it so you get an idea. And the idea of the whole reset title was, hey, you've done all this work all year long, but it's time to restart, right? Years fly by, right? And so the, as people say, the glory days, right? And it's just that. Maybe they're things of the past, days of the past, victories and wins of the past. And so we need to reset and, start making new ones, right? Look for new ways to live and enjoy life, right? Whether it is through creating New Year's resolutions, personal goals, whether they're physical, financial, emotional, spiritual, and reset. I felt like, well, it's going to be released on January 1st. Let's title it that. And this piece is called Reset in large majority because it's using just a one part bass part, right? That it's simple and there's no accompaniment. It's all, yes, accompanied with effects and gives it a fuller sound, but it's simple in that sense. It's like reset, come back to some sort of organic and humble beginnings, right? You don't need much to create music. Reset. Don't think that you always have to outdo what you did the previous year. Sometimes it's about maintaining. Sometimes it's about taking a step back, maybe doing less, right, with what you do have, but be more intentional with what it is you have available to you. It may sound cliche to say count your blessings, but definitely grateful for another year of life and the opportunity to create music. So reset. Here's a snippet of it, and hopefully you enjoy the mixture of effects. I don't know if there's a little bit of static going on in this whole uh, integration of my phone playing the sound samples, right, of my track. I don't know if it's the room or what's going on. Maybe it's the mic. I don't know. Maybe it's my negative energy. I do not know. But the point is, that's reset. And again, pretty cool to me, at least, how several effects can kind of complement each other, work with each other to create what I think is a cool texture, a cool lingering trail of harmonies, right? Essentially, with the granular delay, it really accentuates some of the harmonies, and those trails definitely make what would have been the dry signal all the more interesting, all the more enjoyable. Next track on this album is called Hace Tiempo. That means like it's been a while, right? Or once upon a time kind of thing, like back some time ago. Hace Tiempo is track number 6. Yeah, so I have no idea what that static is or why it's coming in. I feel like it's coming in through the microphone now. Yeah, something's definitely off. But, gonna keep going. Hopefully you guys can stomach this, those of you listening. Hace Tiempo, it's an interesting piece because I started recording it upstairs in the bedroom as my wife was doing some stuff in there, and I'm just kind of like killing time, but wanted to go ahead and be creative, work on my bass, maybe start a new idea or a new song, but I didn't want to not be by her side. I didn't want to not be upstairs in the same vicinity, right, as her, and so it was just weird. So I ended up recording some of it on the TP7 instead of like my actual Zoom R4, and that was basically just like the chords, right? I ended up looping that, excuse me, looping that, and then I ended up creating some drum sequence up there on the KO2 by Teenage Engineering as well. And so eventually I kind of coupled it all upstairs and started messing with the melody upstairs as well. And only then did I record the actual melody on top of the chords played downstairs in the studio. And so really it's just a drum sample loop, very bare bones, and then bass part that's kind of like bassy, chord oriented, and then finally the melody. So those three pieces, nothing crazy in layering, but I like it. It something simple and just. I think being upstairs with my wife, it made me think like, man, we've been together for a while, and the times that we've had, and so Hace Tiempo just kind of brings back nostalgia, memories, and good times, and so I felt like, yay, this is a good title for it, and maybe this is the sound that I'm getting as a result of dwelling on some of those thoughts. Track number 7 might be my favorite track of this album. It's called Universe with You. And I'm just going to shut up. Here we go. Listen to it. Yeah, so that's Universe with You. And yeah, I should play some of the melody. Yeah. Okay, so here's some of the melody. I got impatient. I wanted to start talking about it. So here we go. Yeah, so that's Universe with You again, and possibly my favorite track of the album. I don't know what to say other than it makes me feel like, you know, this world's so big, and yet, it feels like sometimes a connection with a person goes beyond whatever town, city, country you live in, and it can consume you, hopefully in a good way, and it can be all you ever need, right? Regardless of how vast the universe is, that person has it all, right? That person may be all you really need to feel complete at the end of the day. Granted, music is a large part of my life and would definitely feel a void if it suddenly ceased to exist. But I think we make we make it work, right? We find reasons to sculpt our lives in the way that we do, right? So that we can feel fulfilled, we can feel that we have a purpose, and maybe feel that the people in our lives are also serving us a purpose, not because we're selfish, but because we need human interaction. Why? Ultimately, we need love. Ultimately, we need somebody to be our world, to a degree. So anyway, Universe with You and Static in Heaven, right? It sounds a little bit bleak, but I think even with how blessed we may be just to have another day of life, things can definitely get chaotic, and there might be a lot of noise, right? Whether it's coming from one spectrum or side of the world to another, within your own home, within a job site, wherever. Static in heaven, right? It can be overwhelming to consider what it is that we have going for us when there's a lot of negativity flying around. But it is still heaven, right? We're still filled with a lot of opportunities to thrive and hopefully grow into something better, something more. So Static in Heaven, here's a clip of that. And again, right off the bat, it already sounds a little edgy, a little dirty. Right. Yeah, some dirty OC2 kind of sound in there. Yeah, so I'm stopping it right there, 30 seconds in, Static in Heaven. So you can hear some of that noise in the background that's constantly, washing up and down through the track. The OC2 kind of sound really making it sound dirty as well. But again, Static in Heaven, I feel like it has a nice melody. Those chords playing in the background kind of make it sound to me heavenly, and almost like there's a choir singing those chords in the background, almost right. And yet there's chaos happening in the background, with that static wash going up and down. And the next track is also the last track, called Encuentro. And this is a single bass piece. I felt it was appropriate to end with it, called Encuentro, which means like, the meeting, right? Or the encounter, Encuentro, encounter. And let's just listen to it before I start talking about it. Stopping right there just for the sake of giving it a break, and wanting to just mention that these ideas, they definitely could be all the more rehearsed, all the more practiced before recording, and you can hear perhaps some inconsistencies in sound and whatnot. And I'll be honest, like I definitely hear it, but I love the fact that it's not stopping me from pressing record. Ultimately, I'm doing this for myself, and anybody enjoying the process and the creativity will be here for that, right? I don't know that anybody's saying, "Hey, I want to hear Quetzal's next album to see how clean he can deliver whatever ideas that he wants to he has been working on and wants to put out there." For me, it's a sense of accountability, right? Posting this music month in, month out, and to hear hopefully growth, and whether I hear perfection or not, to me that's not important. I'm enjoying the ride, and to me that's everything, right? And so I'm gonna let a little bit more play, just because I feel like the next part has a little different tinge or harmonic, I guess, importance. So here it is. A little chromaticism, some dissonance, then back to the little more diatonic sound, right? And so Encuentro is the last piece of the track, or excuse me, of the record, the album Reset. Enjoyed playing it. I enjoyed recording it. I enjoyed go ahead. The album cover is a painting that my daughter did, and I just end up obviously taking the color out of it and making it kind of grayish. Since we're still in winter, January as it is, it's still cold here in the valley here in California, and wanted to still kind of present that winter vibe, or at least season. But yeah, so there's the record, there's the album Reset, album 14. I am super excited about the next album. If you haven't heard already, it has a red album cover, since Valentine's Day is in February, and a lot of love and focus on that theme will be had in February. I definitely wanted to kind of reinforce that idea, and for that reason, all the tracks on that next album are going to be without a drum track. All that's going to be without drum sequences of any kind. It's just going to be straight up bass. Yes, some effects here and there, but more on the skeletal side, and hopefully on the on the love train type of theme, right? So hopefully you guys enjoy that, even though it's something different. If you've been enjoying the drum sequences, great. I know I've had some people say, hey, really enjoyed the first 4 to 6 albums before you started incorporating the drum sequence tracks and whatnot. And some people have expressed that they don't like them, and that's fine. I don't want the focus to be on the tracks. I mean, hopefully it doesn't take too much away from the music, but ultimately, I don't invest a crazy amount of time in those tracks because that's not nearly as important as the bass is to me, in presenting that, with chords, melodies, some sort of bass line, the effects, right? All that, it definitely takes precedent over whatever drum sequences are integrated into my music. It's been a crazy big start of the year. Kids just finished their winter camp. I go back to work on Monday. I've had 3 weeks off, but it's been great hanging with the family, spending quality time, getting some cleaning done, obviously, and just coming off the chaos from the Christmas events and New Year's, and now, hey, we are almost into the middle of January, and NAM is in a couple of weeks, so I'm pretty excited about NAM. Meeting some friends, meeting new people, just checking out the cool gear, just roaming, right? I don't need a compass. I know there's itineraries and schedules and specific things coming up, and I am trying not to get too worked up about anything other than definitely flying under S. Martin flag. Definitely love their basses, their instruments. I love my hollow body, my Concert 32 bass, and it's crazy to think that the first 4 albums that I recorded were with my MTD 63524, which I no longer have, but now the majority of my records or albums have been recorded with the S. Martin, right? And as mentioned before, the 13th album, right, that released in December, album 13, Roman numeral 13, had all the bass lines except for one track, all on the Fender P bass that I have, right? A little 4-string P bass, which is great. I love that thing. And so, anyway, going on a tangent, just enjoying the fact that some new opportunities to connect, trying new instruments are well on their way. In fact, this weekend, if not tomorrow, then by Monday, I should be receiving my newest bass, my newest addition to the bass acquisitions, right, in my life, an Adelina 6-string bass, Buckeye burl top, and Sapele body or core, a roasted maple neck, along with a bird's eye fingerboard or fretboard, headless 34-inch scale bass, and super excited to talk about that, record with it, perform with it live as well, and perhaps talk about it on the next podcast, right? Gear is cool, and maybe just do some sound samples, right, for you to check out the awesome instruments that Will makes out in Connecticut. So thank you for listening. I appreciate you spending some of your time to check out my music, first of all, and then secondly, perhaps some of the afterthoughts or the thought processes that I have regarding the music, right, the meaning, and just what it is that's going on in my life. I do have a gig this Sunday with the Abella Trio. I'm excited to jam out, improvise and perform in front of people. Ultimately, that is always needed, regardless of what happens in the studio, whatever happens in albums or recorded material. Performing live is still my favorite thing, for sure. So thank you all for stopping by, and I'm going to go ahead and exit out with, I don't know, let's see, what outro music should I play that's original, because I tend to do that, right? I don't know if I can get to anything quickly enough. Let's exit out with this piece called Verano Final, Final Summer.